Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I can't believe we're at the last couple days of this 22-day challenge. And as I said last time, I wanted to acknowledge and celebrate you for coming this far. A lot of people give up. And I know it's not like we've, reinvented the wheel, but we've made a lot of discoveries together. So I hope that you have uncovered all of the hidden fears and fallacies of society that has, been holding you back. And that you have understood like what your pathway has been, whether it's been following a predetermined one or that you've written your own. Either one is totally fine. It just whether or not you feel like that's the right way for you to continue on. Then, of course, we talked last week about balance and unworthiness and understanding that balance is not like this equal amount distribution in all facets of your life. And the final topic that we're going to talk about before we have like our whole pathway like redefined and rewritten for ourselves is about self-love and about putting others first and showing them love. So women in general just kind of tend to prioritize others' needs and well-being as an expression of their love for them. I didn't really know I know that now, but if you were to ask me if that's how I show love, I would probably have not answered that question that way. So how do you show love? So maybe just take a minute to think about that. And then think a minute about how do you show love to yourself? Okay. So I know we just started and I threw a lot out at you right there. What I want to do is start today with a visualization so that you can write down a list. And we're going to do this just like in 3 minutes. So it'll be very fast. If you are driving, I do not want you to be doing this, obviously driving, because I'm going to ask you to maybe close your eyes. If you have a pen and paper, you can write it down. If you are better off, typing because you don't have pen and paper, type it in to the notes, to the comments. So tea is always a good one for me. I've got a little tea in my cup here for meditating and visualization. So first, I'm going to set a timer. What we're going to do is we're going to try to think about all of the things that we do to love ourselves. And it's not that long. I'm just going to give you about 1 minute and we're going to write it down at the end. All right. So get somewhere close, that's comfy in a chair that you like to sit in. Maybe, go into a bedroom and shut the door, or sit in a comfy chair, wherever it is, just make sure you have some time to yourself. So you're just going to close your eyes. And I want you to just start thinking about ways that you love yourself. I want you to not start writing down the list. I want you to have your eyes closed. And I just want you to picture yourself in the space where you're loving yourself. If you're stuck on what does that even look like? Maybe you feel pedicures are a self-love act, or getting your hair done, or going out to lunch to a nice place, whatever those things are. I want you to imagine yourself doing some of those things, just picturing yourself feeling love for yourself. Okay, so your minute's up. Now I want you to open your eyes and I want you to take your pen and paper. And I just want you to write down what you saw. So if it's, pedicure, whatever it is, I want you to write that down. Take like 30 seconds. Now, I've got my list, and you can share yours if you want to in the comments, but I'm going to share mine. So I wrote down naps, shopping, massages, lunch with someone that likes to be around me. And I'll go into more of that in a minute. And then I wrote down pedicure, manicure, the beauty stuff. So now I want you to do another visualization. And I want you to think about how you feel. I want you to take that. So let's do this first. Your list. I'm going to circle my top 3. I'm going to have lunch with a person that is a good person for me. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And then I'm going to write down, I'm going to take massage and I'm going to take nap. So those are my top 3 that I like. I like lunch with a person that, makes me feel great about myself. 2, massage, and 3, nap. So you pick your top 3. It's 11:11. I just have to say it out loud. It's a manifestation number for me, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. Okay, so now that you have your top 3, I want you to close your eyes again. We're going to do a few seconds each one. And I want you to close your eyes, and on the top thing that you picked, I want you to imagine where you are. So let's say yours was a nap. I want you to picture where you are on taking the nap. I want you to picture what you're wearing, where you're going to rest. Are you at home? Are you out of the country? Are you on vacation? Where is this nap? And I want you to think about what you hear. And think about what you smell. And think about the last thing you saw before you closed your eyes to take the nap. And then I want you to think about the feeling. What do you feel when you're starting your nap or starting whatever your first self-care thing is? And then the last thing I want you to think about again is on your top first thing that you love for self-care. How do you feel after? Do you ever feel guilty? If I take a nap, I sometimes feel guilty. If I'm vacationing and I take a nap, I don't feel guilty. But if I took a nap today, I'd probably feel guilty. Not only because I have a lot to do today on my calendar that I decided I was going to do, I have a lot to prepare for tomorrow. I have another meeting. Would I even be able to take a nap right now? I don't know. So if I know that I need some self-love today and self-care and nap, which just maybe that's not the best one today. But maybe lunch with my person that makes me feel, great about myself is a good one. Why? I have a big meeting tomorrow. Maybe I'm nervous. Maybe I'm fearful. Maybe I don't feel good enough. So surrounding yourself with people that tend to help you feel good about yourself, or they lift you up because they're positive, their energy is good. Maybe that's a better self-love act for me today. So maybe about 5 weeks ago, I went to an all-day spa and I spent it, doing self-care, self-love. And I felt great afterwards. Don't get me wrong. But some of it was like, I forced myself to go do that. Okay. Because I knew the other side of the coin, this other equation of our module today is taking care of others and then withdrawing self-love is kind of like this thing that women tend to do. And I was doing a whole lot of it. Anybody else? Like, if I don't do a lot for others, I should probably not do something for myself. But is that true? I don't think it is. So although some of that spa day I had to force upon myself, in the long run, I slowed down enough to realize that I was very much taking care of other people before myself. I was very much putting my career before my self-care. I was very much putting my children before myself. I was very much putting my home and tasks to clean it or take care of it before my own self-love. I was very much asking other people if I could help them out before I took care of myself. A lot of it was myself avoiding my true emotion and feelings. Because when you're doing acts of self-love, such as getting a pedicure or meditating or gratitude journaling or having lunch with a friend, like, you need to be 100% present during that time rather than forcing it upon yourself in order to reap all of the benefits, to fill your cup up, to give back to others. So I'm going to say that one more time. When you're practicing self-love, this is something that I realized, that when you put it upon yourself, that you make yourself do self-love just because, like, you need to, because that's the only way you could start the process. Parts of it that you're not present for aren't going to give you what you are hoping to get from the self-love. It's yes, you'll get your nails done or whatever, but unless you're present and plug in to that time and feelings and self-talk about, like, what are you saying? What are you telling yourself during this self-love? Are you telling yourself, oh my God, I gotta go, the kid's boss, this, that, and the other thing? What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about yourself and filling up your cup and telling yourself how valuable you are and how worthy you are and how amazing you are? Or are you like, shit, I gotta go. Like, we gotta get this show on the road. If it's a show on the road pedicure, that's not self-love. That's, I need my nails done because I want to look good, presentable. Okay, so I clarify those things, clarifying, am I grounded? Am I present? Am I in the moment? Am I enjoying this act of self-love? Am I feeling love for myself? Or am I merely checking off a task on my list, or merely thinking about a task on my list that I need to do next? See how it is? We could go down that rabbit hole again. We could go back to, I'm busy. I don't have time for self-love or self-care. So I'm asking you to incorporate the self-love in a different way. I'm asking you to become present, become grounded, not be thinking about all the other things you need to do, and really take the time to love yourself, okay? That's a really great epiphany that I had, is like, okay, well, I haven't done self-love in a long time, so I'm going to go do it. And then when I did it, I was like, oh, some of this feels good, but other parts of this doesn't. And this is what doesn't feel good. And so my coaching to you today is the self-talk and the mind chatter that's going on while you're performing self-love is more important, I feel, than the act that you're doing to help yourself feel loved. Perhaps a better way to start for some, And maybe it would have been better for me to start with just the easy part of, or the basis that I'm talking about right now is this foundation of, okay, I need to practice self-love. So am I grounded? Am I present? Maybe getting grounded and present is the act of self-love for today. Maybe that's all we got. And that's okay. Because being grounded and present with yourself is like walking up to yourself with 110% focus on only yourself and giving her the biggest hug that she could ever get. Have you ever seen one of your friends and you haven't seen them in a little bit and you run into them at the grocery store and they look just like they always do, you know, your old friend, same familiar person, everything. But when you give them a hug, you kind of feel this like, something's going on. But you don't know that unless you hug them, kind of thing. That's what I'm talking about. I want you to get grounded and focused on only yourself for just like 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes in the morning. I did that this morning and it was great. And all I needed was that today so far to feel loved. And then I'm able to give more love to everybody else, like you guys and my kids and my other clients and social media and everything else, right? Because remember, we're not just those roles that we play in our lives. We are one whole person. Those roles take pieces and pieces and they spread them out. Our goal at the end of the day is to go grab all those pieces again and bring them back in. Okay, give her a hug. Check in. How does she feel? Because giving from an empty cup is limited. Giving from an endless cup is obviously unlimited. And when we're doing something that we're completely passionate and in love with, we feel that unprecedented energy that we could just go and go and go and go forever and ever and ever. But when we're giving from an empty cup, we don't feel like we have much left to give. And in our mind, we're like, if I give 1 more ounce of myself, I won't have anything left. I won't be able to do more than just what I'm doing right now. But that's also taking you out of the present because you're thinking about what else you have to do. So this in our brains, really grounded, really focused. Again, give her a hug, check in. Now, let's talk about how we often prioritize other people's emotions and needs above our own, and our own well-being will suffer, right? So let's talk about the detrimental effects of neglecting self-care. All right, well, what does that mean? It means if you go long enough without doing something for yourself to practice self-care or self-love, you're going to run out of love. You know, the people that love you, that approach you when they need you, and you're just like, oh, what do they possibly need right now? I just need one more thing. Well, it's because your cup's empty, girl. You can't pour anything out of something that's empty. So how do you know when you're doing this? Well, obviously, we know that our ability to support others gets really weak. Our strong suits of being like that one person that they call when there's shit going down, if you're that person, the strong shoulders and foundation that you normally carry everybody else on gets weak. And by the time you add the 10th story to your sky, you know, your building, maybe you want to build a skyscraper, you could get to the 10th story and get stuck right there because your foundation isn't strong enough. And then you got to go back and look at your foundation. The foundation is you. The foundation is you. You are that foundation. And when you're that foundation, you have to make sure that you check for stress cracks. You make sure that you maintain it. You make sure that you register for the warranty. You make sure that you have a professional come in and take a look if you have concerns. You make sure that the foundation is going to last for that home well beyond your time on earth. I mean, there's buildings in my hometown, right down 5 miles away, that are centuries old, still standing because the foundation is there. So think about your self-love and self-care as maintaining a foundation that is centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries of a legacy that you leave. Because you're here for this time, right? Whatever you do here will make impressions in the universe and with people, and that energy doesn't leave. I know I might be getting out there in the stars for some people, but I'm telling you, that's not something that like goes away. So what are we passing on then? Are we passing on to our kids? Oh, yeah, fine. I'll just answer your question because I'm busy right now. Or, you know what? I'm in the middle of something and I really want to help you. Give me 1 second to reframe my brain and I'm going to help you out. And then you can like unplug from what you're doing, take a breath, help someone else, complete that, unplug, and then replug back into you. Because if we push off, plugging in ourselves to get the recharge, we are going to be walking around with that 1% iPhone battery like every 16-year-old does in America with an iPhone. Oh, I just need a little charge. I'm just going to charge it. Fast charge, just fast charge. Well, that fries your battery. Do you ever hear that? If you don't get one good complete charge cycle in an iPhone or a lithium battery, that you're going to drain the battery faster than you would if you just charged it once overnight and let it charge rather than plug it in for 1%, 1%. That's minimal crumbs. Stop feeding yourself minimal crumbs so that you can feed yourself a full meal, and you'll be able to feed the other people and things in your life a full meal. Make sense? Because you really deserve more than the crumbs. You deserve to sit down and have a 5-course meal just like you served everyone else. Maybe it's a beautifully plated 5-course French dinner. I don't know. Maybe it's a 5-course Italian dinner in Italy where they serve the pasta after the food, after the salad after the meal. Sorry, I messed that up. You know, like maybe it's your own whatever, but it cannot be crumbs. Crumbs are the minimal. So you must nourish yourself not only with food for your body, but food for your mind and your soul. So maybe that's reading books or taking walks or whatever it is. We must fuel a list of our dreams, passions, and ambitions. So we have to get excited and specific about what those external things that get our brains going and make us feel like our cup is filled, right? All right. So throughout the lessons, navigating how complex the self-care and caregiving imbalance is. Balance we talked about last Friday, but thinking about the balance again, it like I said, it's never going to be even Steven and everything, but you can find ways to incorporate self-care and love into your day. Maybe, like I said, bits and pieces at a time, or one big thing, spa day, whatever it is that you need, but understanding why you're withholding self-love and why you're giving more love to other people before yourself is really important in the whole journey here. So when you're in a place where self-love has been neglected for a while, look at that. Why? Was it just simply like a little bit of a balance thing where, I don't know, your sister had a baby, so she needed your help, or your daughter had a baby, so she needed your help. And you helped her more than you normally would because she has a 2-year-old or 2-day-old. Whereas in 2 weeks from now, that will wane and it won't be as much, where you can incorporate more self-love those weeks. Or are we talking about, I made a change in my life and now my self-care and love is neglected. So how do I rework my balance to not give other people more than they need so that I can give myself what I need? Because it's true, we do give others more than they actually need at times. And I know I'm the bad guy for saying this, but we do. So, for example, my son, my 8-year-old, he wants everything to be like perfect on the outside. So when he decides that he wants to play basketball, it's not, I'd like to sign up for basketball. It's, I'm signing up for basketball. I need the uniform. I need the shoes. I need a ball. I need the arm wristbands. I'm going to need a new backpack, and I'm going to need to look like an all-star basketball player, as if I'm walking into my first NBA practice, not an 8-year-old basketball camp. That's his imagination, his expectation of what he should arrive as. Because on his mind, if he shows them a perfect NBA player worthy of walking on that court, he's going to be deemed good enough to be on everybody's team, and everybody's going to like him. And I only say this not because I'm a psychologist. I'm not at all. I'm saying this because I know my son. So it's easy for me to know myself, right? I know myself that well. So knowing myself, that if I sign up for something new, maybe my expectation is I'm going to sign up for this 22-day challenge. And at the end of this challenge, I'm going to have a completely new life. Well, if that's my expectation and I don't do anything to change my mindset or my life, I'm going to be pretty disappointed, right? And although my son is going to have, like, in his mind, if he has all those things, the perfect uniform, the perfect shoes, the ball, the wristbands, and he walks onto the court, his expectation is he's going to be a star player. But what's going to happen? He's only going to be as good as he is. He's only going to be as good as he's practiced. He's only going to be as good as he has been till now. He can always get better. He can always even excel even more. But in his mind, he's going to be Michael Jordan because of those things. Make sense? So in our minds, if we love somebody enough, they're going to have the tools that they need to be successful. And that isn't true. If we love someone enough, is never going to get anyone anywhere they need to be. If I love you enough, that's not where that's going to come from. That place of you, if you love yourself enough, that's where that's going to come from. I feel like we're on a Ferris wheel, right? Self-love, not enough self-love. Self-love, not enough. I love somebody else too much. And then round and round we go. So that's how we find, I think balance is just going around in the circle of, like, I have enough to give here. I have enough to give there, but I don't have enough to give here. Understanding that incorporating self-care for your mind, body, and spirit, and recognizing your own well-being is just as important as recognizing everyone else's well-being, is key to you having enough of you to go around, right? So let's talk about some strategies to empower our loved ones rather than giving them enough love so that they can do the things they need to do. Because there's a point where we can't do things for other people. Like, I can tell my son, hey, we're going to get the, uniform, we're going to sign up, but I want you to understand, like, we still should practice in the driveway, or let's make sure we're practicing with our friends so that you feel really confident when you walk into that basketball practice the first time. It's not just a matter of showing up in the right clothes, right? So there's a cycle here when we're empowering our loved ones. If you are the sole source for other people of their, let me rephrase this, I'm sorry. So let's say you are the only source of love or attention or whatever it is for a person. Maybe you're their rock and they don't have any other resources besides you to be responsible for their own well-being or responsible for their own actions. And that is a hard place, because I am the type of person, at least for myself, you can decide whether or not you're the fixer. I'm a fixer. So a lot of times if somebody comes to me with a problem, I have to consciously say to myself, are they asking me for advice or are they just venting? And sometimes I'll even clarify with the person, are you venting or are you asking for opinion or advice? Or are we strategizing? What are we doing? Because when you go into automatic, let me fix it for you mode, I'm fixing this to get you off my plate, is the feeling that they might get. But also I'm fixing it, but I'm also not giving you any autonomy. I'm not teaching you anything. So if I fix a problem for someone, what did I teach them? What did I coach them through? How did I help them? I didn't help them. I made them dependent on me, and making other people dependent on me does not make me more important. Having more people dependent on me does not make me more important. I'm going to say this one more time. Having more people dependent on me for their happiness or for anything is not helping them. Now, yes, my kids depend on me. There's things that they're capable of and not capable of. But if I don't see their ability and that they're capable and encourage them to grow and do and work through a challenge and fix it for them, they will not learn. And that's very uncomfortable as a mom or even a leader or a friend to see someone else struggle when you know if you just did this one really easy check, it would be gone and that person would not suffer. But what are you teaching them? You're taking away time and energy and emotion from yourself, giving it to someone else. But what did you give them? Did you give them independence? Did you give them empowerment? Did you give them dependence on you? So those are some things to ask when you are going to jump in and solve a problem. So you can easily encourage people to take responsibility for their own well-being, right? Rather than, let's say a girlfriend calls you and she's just down in the dumps. She's broken up with her boyfriend. She doesn't know what to do. She just blah, blah, blah. And it's the same old with this friend. Like, it's the same story. This breakup happens over and over again. And what does she do? She does the same thing each time, right? And today you're like, listen, Sally. In your head, you're like, Sally, I see you do this all the time. And rather than let Sally tell her story and make herself the victim and all those things, what if you just asked Sally a question? Like, is there something you could do different next time? Or how does that feel? Or how could you feel less defeated in the relationship when it ends? Just like identifying someone in your life who doesn't need as much caregiving as you give them emotionally, financially, physically, whatever, spiritually. Is there someone in your life that doesn't need as much help and caregiving that you think they do, that you could back off, where it wouldn't be an abandonment to that person or their well-being, but it would be the start of helping them build their own foundation. So like I said, being consistent with self-care and self-love not only helps your well-being, but it also positively helps you fill the cup, which gives you more ability to care for others so that when they're in a crisis, You're not like, Jesus criminy, Sally, what is it this time? When you pick up the phone only to find out Sally has a completely new crisis and she really does need your help. It also builds a strong foundation for sustainability of caregiving for others. You know, there's all kinds of apps now for caregivers, of caring for elderly parents, caring for kids, caring for whomever. You know, I feel for like people in institutionalized positions, jobs right now, like law enforcement, teachers, principals, government workers, because they're so stuck in red tape of their day to day. And then you have the general public coming at them of like, why that doesn't make sense. So they're like trying to help kids understand like how to, you know, learn, and they're trying to help parents understand the way they do things at school is different than they do at home, and they can only do it one way, but there's 5 million parents. And if you are constantly trying to justify, fix it for everybody else as like a police officer or social worker, your foundation starts to crumble. So remember that, like, whatever you're doing that you feel stuck in, like, maybe that area of your life needs you to give yourself self-love in that area only. So if it's your career and you're feeling like so like depleted and stuck and you can't get anywhere, what could you do to help yourself feel like successful today in your career, in your job? What do you do well all the time? Because no matter what, you do something very well in your job. That's why you have that job. You don't ever fail at maybe 3 things. Like, that's why. So remind yourself, like, okay, maybe I can't like get a massage in the middle of my day because I'm working, but I can acknowledge some things I'm really good at with my job so that I don't feel like I have nothing left to give to my job right now, because I can't just leave and get a massage. Make sense? So that's like more strategy of helping other people feel empowered to take care of themselves so that you don't have to care for them in certain areas, because you can let that go if you can, and if they don't need you anymore. You can if they don't need you anymore, is my point. So understanding that you have to have that filled cup in order to fill up other people's cups. And then understanding like self-care in certain areas may be needed in one area more than another. Okay. The next part of this for homework is like, we're going to do a lot in 2 days, but today I want you to make an action plan for self-love. Okay. So if it's self-love is something that you, self-care is something that you do by like, you always get your nails done every 2 weeks, or you take a nice long bath at the end of every night and read a book. If you have one thing that you already do, I want you to write that down. Okay. And then I want you to write down, you know, the top 3 things that we talked about. And then I want you to write down 3 new things that you feel could be an indulgent act of self-love or self-care for yourself. Like maybe that you're going to do once a week, and one that you're going to do once a month. That's like more than you already do. And if you're really feeling fancy and you're really feeling like, I don't do any self-love at all, honest to God, I just don't, I want you to promise and commit to one act of self-love or self-care that you're going to do every day, no matter what. Maybe it's a 3-minute meditation so that you can get into that mindset. Maybe it's a midday unplug for 5 minutes. Truly like go outside without a phone, go outside without shoes and walk around the block. I don't know. Don't take anything with you because you might do something if you're me. So you're going to write down what you're currently doing for self-care You're going to write down the 3 things, your top 3 things that you like to do for self-care, and you're going to write down when you do them. If you don't have a schedule, you're going to incorporate them into a schedule. And then you're going to write down the 3 things that you'd like to add more of and when you're going to add them. Is it once a week? Is it once a month? So let's say you wrote down you want to read a book. You want to start reading again. Maybe you love reading and you haven't been reading. So maybe that looks like I'm going to read 20 minutes every day. And I'm going to buy myself a new book every month. Or I'm going to download a new book every month. Or I'm going to go to the library once a month. There's so many things for self-care that don't even cost money that we don't even realize it. Like I said, a walk around the block, a nature walk, a nature preserve walk. That's free. All of those things free. Library, free. Watching YouTube videos of something funny. Maybe that's your act of self-love because it decompresses you. Some people love humor, but schedule it and commit to it. Okay. I'm going to email all that, your homework. But let's circle back really quick because we have to talk about the 3 R's so that we are ready for our final call. And the celebration call is going to be our new path. We are going to write down, in order to rewire our brain, is like I talked about it, rewire your brain is like our brain loves it to be like it always is. So become aware of that one thing that you want to change, right? So let's say you always believe that, okay, I'll go drama town on this one. So let's say you have a family member that tells you that no matter what your ideas are, your whole life, they've always been like, yeah, that won't work. Yeah, that won't work. Yeah, that won't work. And they're like negative Nelly about everything you do. And what happens is like, you start to listen to them. So maybe you don't even realize that you have a habit of listening to that person and that person starts to talk to you in your mind. So if that person is a trigger, maybe that person doesn't get to hear about your new ideas anymore until you have rewired your brain to believe that you will be successful in that. Okay. And then you replace it with the positive action. Like I said, you're going to tell yourself you're successful at this, or you are making all the right moves to be successful in this. So instead of listening to the old voice, the old habits, watch it put out with the positive voice. I am a successful business person at this, or I am a successful mom in this, or I'm a successful crafter at this, whatever it is. And then reinforce it with consistency, which means that every time you hear that negative voice, even if, let's say it was your voice, not a family member's, if that's your voice, you stop and you do it again. You replace it with a positive voice and you reinforce it with saying it again, over and over and over again. So it's like the power of change doesn't happen until it's done over and over. Rewire, replace, reinforce. Rewire that thought, replace it with a new one and reinforce it, or rewire the action, replace the action and reinforce the action, whatever it is that you are doing, if it's a thought or an action. So grounded and present, in order to rewire that breath, that getting connected, that getting grounded is necessary. So you feel the trigger, you're going to, okay, I got to connect back into myself. I got to connect with my beliefs, not what the world around me says, not what I think might happen, not my fearful, oh my God, if I don't do this, this is going to happen. None of that. We're going to get grounded. Okay. And you're going to recognize your trigger and you're going to be present. And instead of doing the old thing you always do, let's say it's engaging with a thought. Sally's right. I suck at this. I'm never going to be good at it. I'm going to quit. Forget it. I'm going to go wait tables. I'll never make it. Okay. As soon as you start to think that, close your eyes, take a breath, and ask yourself, is that true? Is it true? You might say, well, it could be true. Could be true is not 100% true. It's not 100% true. So we have to replace that with something different. Maybe if you have a bad habit in the morning, grabbing your phone, and you don't want to do that anymore, first thing you're going to do when you see yourself grabbing your phone is take that phone and go put it in a different room and then walk back into what you were doing. Just like the mind chatter. Sally says I suck. Maybe I suck. Sally doesn't know what she's talking about. Sally just is afraid of everything because all Sally knows is what Sally knows. Sally's talking to you through her experience, not your experience or not the experience you're going to have, because Sally doesn't read your mind and Sally doesn't predict the future. Sally only knows what Sally has experienced. So that's Sally's experience. Let Sally have her experience. And we don't have to engage in it. It's like, okay, so I'm not going to tell Sally about it this time because I know Sally's going to bring me down. So that's my replaced action and thought pattern. And then I'm going to reinforce my thought pattern by telling myself, oh, I was successful despite the fact that I let that little thought of Sally telling me I'm not good at this. I was successful at this. Or maybe you're going to replace that phone habit with a gratitude journal. So instead of that phone needing to be put in a separate room, you're going to pick up a pen and a paper and write down things you're grateful for. Maybe you're going to share that new feeling, new practice with a friend or on social media, because changing habits seems really big, but like the 3 R's are equipped for you to take charge of your behaviors one step at a time and create these lasting positive changes. So you need to remember that every small step that you take is going to add up to big transformation. So we're going to start rewiring, replacing, and reinforcing together in this journey because we need to rewrite our path, right? So today through Thursday, I want you to just start journaling anytime that you have, if a thought comes into your mind of what fallacies you know you wanted to give away and say goodbye to on one piece of paper. We're going to have a ceremony on Thursday with this piece of paper. So on Thursday, we're going to have a piece of paper. We're going to write down, we're going to have written down all of the things we're giving up that no longer served us. All the shit in the backpack. Excuse my French. If you want to bring a backpack to Thursday's celebration call, bring a backpack and bring that piece of paper and put it in the backpack. We're going to have a ceremony. We're going to get rid of it. And then I want you to also have a list of things that you're going to bring with you. The things that you discovered about what you believe that you didn't really know until this 22-day challenge came. Maybe if you didn't discover anything, but there were things that you knew that you believed anyway, I want you to put those on a piece of paper and have them in your backpack or your metaphor of a backpack. And I want you to really understand that this backpack is not like the end all be all. We're not taking one last final destination trip. We're going on multiple journeys and we're going to need to assess our needs and beliefs for different situations because they're new. So remember when I said, like, we did this when we were younger and then they expect us, like society just kind of said, okay, this is what you're going to do. Train for it, learn it. Now go be it. Now go be it. And then that's it. Well, now go be it. And then that's it is where we get like paralyzed. So, okay, I went and I did that. Let's say you became a teacher when you were 21 because you graduated college, you wanted to be a teacher. You became a teacher. You become a teacher and you're like, I mean, I like being a teacher, but I don't love it. And I've been doing it for 20 years and you've got 10 more years before retirement. So do you just stick it out 10 more years because that's what you were supposed to do? Or do you start to question your belief? Maybe you should question the belief. Nobody said, who says that you have to stay miserable? Who said that? Who told you you get to stay stuck? Who told you you get to give all of yourself to everything else and nothing to yourself? Nobody told you that, did they? maybe they implied that because nobody ever asked us until the last 5 years, 10 years. I didn't hear self-love, self-care when I was 25. I didn't know what that is. I didn't know what that was until I don't know. I don't even know. Anyway, I digress. So in our action plan, we're not taking a lot of that with us. We're going to take what we know with us, but our action plan is something that needs to be rewritten quite a bit in our lives. It's not a one and done. It's just like overcoming a fear or overcoming, a challenge. It's a daily thing. We have this fallacy that we were sold, and we don't even realize how subconsciously it's embedded into us, that you're going to arrive someday. You're going to arrive someday at work, and it's going to be the day that you have achieved the thing, or you are going to wake up one morning and you are every woman. I can hear Whitney Houston right now. I'm every woman. Like, I suck at singing, sorry, but like, you're every woman every day, girl. And you get to decide what your authentic path is. You get to decide what your beliefs are. You get to decide. So we're going to decide that by getting rid of all the stuff we don't need, putting in what we want. But we're going to embrace this, and we're going to craft this road, our own unique path, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to collaborate on it, and we're going to celebrate it, and we're going to cherish it. We're going to become what we want to become when we write our action plan. It's only when you won't take the action that you plan on that you won't become that. Okay? I believe in you. I'm rooting for you. I know that Thursday is going to be amazing. So please, please, please make sure you do that homework. And I just might step up the homework challenge a little bit. So make sure you pay close attention to the emails. And make sure that you are willing to give up what you really need to put on that piece of paper that's in the backpack that's got to go. Okay? Even if it's something that you're like, but I know I should give that, but I have to do that. Do you have to? So really challenge those beliefs when you're putting those beliefs back in the bag. That list, I want you to be real careful of. Like, do I really want to do this with me? Okay? I am rooting for you. I am excited for you. I will see you on Thursday, and I will be emailing you in a very little bit. I cannot wait to hear all about your new path.